member from Lambton-Kent-Essex.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'm honoured to rise for third reading to debate Bill 27 and follow the Minister of Economic Development. Madam Speaker, I think everyone is pleased to see this government bring forward a bill aimed at cutting red tape in the province of Ontario. I've said many times, and many other members have said, that Ontario has hundreds of thousands of regulations on the books, and our businesses are burdened with over $14 billion in costs every year as a result of this government's red tape. So a Burden Reduction Act is obviously very prudent and timely, but unfortunately what the government actually brought forward in Bill 27 is a drop in the bucket. Madam Speaker, as our party and I outlined during second reading, we will be supporting this bill because even a drop in the bucket is better than nothing. But I'm disappointed by how unambitious the government has been with burden and red tape reduction. According to the ministry's own numbers, Madam Speaker, this bill will only save businesses in Ontario, all businesses, a total of $31.5 million. When you spread that out across all the companies in Ontario, it's really nothing. In fact, it's a 0.2% annual reduction. And Speaker, when you read this legislation and you look at the numbers, it's clear that this is a bill intended more for government housekeeping than for the benefit of the private sector in our economy. And while we do need to regularly clarify and modernize our laws and regulations with housekeeping-type bills, it's a shabby practice this government has of dressing up omnibus housekeeping bills under titles that make them sound like some great good is being done for the people or economy of the province. Speaker, I'd really like to illustrate how inadequate this bill is by painting a picture of what our companies are up against these days. Over the last few months, I've been visiting manufacturing facilities and speaking with business owners and entrepreneurs across Ontario. I'd like to take this opportunity to relay what I've heard and seen during this manufacturing tour, because I suspect that many government members have not taken the time or the opportunity to have a real look at what is going on in Ontario. Speaker, the manufacturing we have here today is almost exclusively advanced manufacturing. It's all that's left. And these manufacturers are producing innovative products better than anybody elsewhere. They are building things that we need in this province, ensuring we get quality products made ethically and which create jobs here instead of in China or America. Manufacturing offers indiscriminate opportunities for meaningful work and a good living. If you walk into a manufacturing plant today, you will find people from every walk of life. You will find managers who are hardworking first-generation Canadians who didn't have formal education, but who have made their way up the ranks and can now provide a good life and better opportunity for their children. You will find scientists, MBAs, engineers alongside skilled tradespeople. You will find women doing everything from driving forklifts to working in management. You will find second and third generation owners, employees who aren't just co-workers, but friends and neighbours. You will find people who take pride in building something here in Ontario that is better than what you'll find anywhere else in the world. You will find innovators and creators, people developing the most eco-friendly technologies available. And Speaker, this government loves to talk about innovation, but seems to only recognize the sort of innovation that is theoretical and comes out of labs where everyone wears a white coat. There is no recognition of applied research and development, of that frontline innovation that happens when people refine and modernize the processes and products they actually engage with every day. But most of all, what you will find when you visit an Ontario manufacturer today is people working hard and struggling to keep their plants open, even when they know it makes financial sense to move their operation, because they care about their employees and their community, they're fighting to remain here in Ontario. These are companies who have, by and large, cut their management and staffing to the bone. They have made serious investments to make their operations as energy efficient and environmentally friendly as possible. In fact, Madam Speaker, many are leaders in developing new technologies to help other companies the world over become more efficient and sustainable. They have done everything they can to keep their businesses viable in Ontario. But this Liberal government, far from offering relief, keeps creating roadblocks for them. They keep stacking the deck with new challenges that hand their competitors the competitive advantage. And businesses keep getting thrown Liberal curveballs, giving no measure of stability or predictability to Ontario's economy. Speaker, cap and trade and the high cost of hydro are certainly big issues for businesses, but the cost of regulatory compliance is also taking a heavy toll. Time, as well as money, is a precious resource, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, and no one can remember a time when more resources had to be poured into keeping the government happy. And perhaps we shouldn't be surprised. This government and this Premier have made it clear that they're not interested in helping manufacturers, that despite the tremendous role the sector has and continues to play, that it's got no place in Ontario's future. In fact, Speaker, I believe Premier Wynne and this Liberal government sees the private sector and manufacturing in particular as sunset industries. Their agenda is one of big government, more intrusion and more interference, and a belief that government knows best.
Statism.
And Speaker, while service jobs and tech jobs are great, the Premier is setting up a false choice when she says it has to be either these jobs or manufacturing jobs. We can and should have both in Ontario. We must have both to create a strong and growing middle class in this province. And when the Premier says we can't have traditional manufacturing, or that manufacturing is being, quote, sunset in Ontario, it may in fact be true, but only as a result of the policies of this Liberal government. If the best that this government can do to alleviate the burden on business is reduce regulatory costs by 0.2%, especially when they're facing record-high hydro rates and the massive cost of cap and trade, then I think it is clear that this is a government not interested in true economic development and growth. I will venture even further, Madam Speaker, and say I don't see the evidence that this government is interested in sustainable economic development. I visited one manufacturer who wanted to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in new machinery to increase productivity and decrease their environmental impact, which sounds exactly like what this government would want them to do. But it turns out that Liberal policies tell a very different story. This Liberal government, who claims to promote advanced manufacturing and green technology, held the process up, forced this family-run business to gamble with significant sums of money, refused to give them answers about the approval process, preventing them from bringing this machinery into operation for almost 3 years. Speaker, the Ministry and the TSSA just didn't have the internal systems in place to accommodate this innovation, so it wasn't clear how regulations should be applied. The result was a company being asked to lay out a lot of money to procure a machine that the government couldn't tell them whether they'd be able to use or not. And Speaker, this is a story that we continue to hear at almost every manufacturing facility that we visit. When this is a reality of how this government deals with innovative and green technologies, why should anyone believe that this Premier has a real plan for sustainable economic development? Why should anyone believe that this government is serious about getting regulation out of business or fostering innovation? Speaker, this government was very proud that this omnibus bill was making over 150 amendments to 11 ministries, but it's time we start talking about quality, not just quantity, when it comes to red tape. Because this bill does not make the sort of comprehensive changes that would have a real impact on the private sector's red tape burden. This is a bill that fixes a lot of little things. It updates things that should have been updated many, many years ago. In fact, far in advance of red tape and overburdensome regulations costing Ontario's economy $14 billion. That's why, Speaker, it's making a small step, as I said in the beginning, of saving businesses a very small amount of $31 million. We will be supporting it based on that premise, but I would encourage the government to go a heck of a lot further, start getting government out of the way of business, free up the free market, and allow entrepreneurs and job creators and businesses to create jobs and focus on growing their businesses in the province of Ontario. Thank you very much.